been in my cozy era since the start of the year. I don't know what it is, but honestly, usually winter is brutal for me, but this year I have just been fully embracing it and living my best life. Like, I have just been so happy still, and I am very, very excited about that because winter has always been like this looming thing that I get worried about. But since I have just embraced this whole cozy vibe, I am very excited, and I'm almost sad that like winter is going to be over soon. Not that sad, but a little sad. It's also not soon because we're just at the end of January, and I'm being very wishful with that, but you know what I mean. So today I have a few books that I feel like just fit that cozy vibe and cozy aesthetic, if you will. I feel like it's not really an aesthetic. Maybe it is. I don't know all that much about aesthetics, but I'm actually just going to be reading them off of my iPad, even though the books are all surrounding me, because this is the last video that I need to film today, and I do really want to film it. Like, I'm very excited about it, but also the idea of going and getting the books and then having to put them away after was just too much for me right now. I'm gonna be honest, because I know I have a pretty big task to do after, so I am just removing that barrier for myself and making a barrier for future self by having to edit the covers onto the video, but it's totally fine. I don't care. So with the cozy vibe, I went for just kind of all around feel-good stories. There was just something about them that made me feel like warm and fuzzy inside. I feel like they are the kinds of books that you just want to like curl up with a mug of hot chocolate and a blanket with your slippers, have a candle on, have a fireplace lit, or do what I do and have a fireplace just on YouTube playing, just those sorts of books. And I focus mostly on books that don't really have a ton happening conflict-wise. Now, that doesn't mean there's no conflict, and it doesn't mean that all of them don't have a ton happening conflict-wise, but for the most part, they are just those fun and fuzzy feel-good reads. So the first book that I have here was my favorite book that I read last year, and that is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. I couldn't not mention this book because it honestly is the epitome of feel-good and cozy. This is a book that is really for book lovers, but it's also for anyone. Anyone who has loved anything or been really passionate about something growing up. It is all about this girl who grew up loving this book series, loving this author, and then he ends up actually holding a contest for the last manuscript in his series. It kind of gave me like Magic Treehouse vibes, which was my absolute shit when I was a kid, honestly. But anyways, he has this last manuscript and she has the opportunity to compete, but like it's not that high conflict of a competition, and win that manuscript and do whatever she wants with it. She could publish it, whatever. It was not what I was expecting at all. It is a beautiful story about family and found family, finding yourself, just love. Like, it was so freaking beautiful. Honestly, I love this book so much, and I feel like anyone needs to read it. Everyone needs to read it. It is like my #1 recommendation. I'm obsessed with it, clearly, but especially right now, it's perfect for any time of year. Like, I read it during the summer, but right now with snow and everything, I don't know what the weather is like where you are, but it fits. I don't know why I keep going like this lately. This is my new thing. Very weird. The next book is another one that was on my favorites list for last year, but I promise that not all of these books are books that I read last year. We have kind of a mix of things here. But next we have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I loved this book so much, and I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. I'd heard some really good things about it, but I genuinely didn't know what to expect. I looked at the cover, felt like it was going to be like a witchy sort of romance, and witches, I have to be in the right mood for it. Like, generally, those sorts of things, I love the idea of it, but then the actual execution doesn't always live up to my expectations. But this one totally surpassed them and blew me away. It is so freaking cute. It is about this witch who, they are like living in secret, obviously, but she actually has a YouTube channel where she talks about witchcraft and everything, but no one actually like believes that it's real. But then someone sees it and is like, she is a real witch, and they end up hiring her to be the guardian for these 3 young witches that they have. It is such a beautiful story. Once again, about found family. I am a sucker for that, and I just absolutely loved it. The romance is so cute. It's genuinely just so heartwarming. Next is The Mysteries of Thorn Manor and The Sorcery of Thorns. So I say The Mystery of Thorn Manor first because I feel like that one has the ultimate cozy vibes, but it is a companion to Sorcery of Thorns. Sorcery of Thorns is this bookish fantasy. It is this magical library. It's honestly a book that I really want to reread soon, maybe this next month, because I feel like when I first read it, I was reading it for the Bookmarked Book Club way back in the day. That's a throwback, but I was reading it for that. So then I kind of went through it more quickly than I would have liked because I wanted to like be able to talk about it for a live show. But I think I would really like to sit down and listen to the audiobook now that I've figured out that audiobooks are the way to go for me with reading. So maybe I'll do that soon. But I did read The Mysteries of Thorn Manor last year and I loved it. I was very surprised because I didn't remember too much about the initial book, but I still really loved it. I loved being back in the world and it was just cozy being in this day-to-day life with these characters that I loved. Like, I immediately remembered them and fell in love with them all over again. The dynamics between them all, it was just so cute and really has those cozy kind of cabin vibes. Next is The Dictionary of Lost Words and The Bookbinder by Pip Williams. These are really historical fictions for book lovers, and I think that there's just something about that that is super cozy. From the beginning of these books, you're following a character from a young age. Actually, that's more in Dictionary of Lost Words, but they basically are both historical fictions dealing with books. The first one, The Dictionary of Lost Words, is dealing with the Oxford English Dictionary and the making of that. And then the second one is with like bookbinding and everything, but they are briefly connected. There is a connection between the two of them, which was super fascinating. But you're following all of these women characters. It is definitely very female-driven stories, and it's also really focused on sides of history that don't generally get told. And I just loved that. If you are a lover of books or a lover of words, these are just the perfect sort of cozy historical fictions, and they will definitely tug at your heartstrings. They can be pretty heartbreaking, but I feel like as far as historical fictions go, at least from my memory, they aren't as high stakes as a lot of other ones that I've read. Next is Real Men Knit. This is an adult romance surrounding knitting. What more could you want, honestly? Since I am in my crochet era, I keep saying era for everything, which is probably so annoying, but it's happening, okay? It's like when I used to say love that for you, but sarcastically and ironically, and then eventually I say it so much that it's no longer sarcastic or ironic. It is just a quirk of my speech that I have picked up. I don't know what it is. I always have those little things that I say and repeat them all the time. You can ask anyone who knows me in real life, they will vouch for that. Even when I went to BookCon, and this is another way throwback, but when I went to BookCon in 2018 for the first time, everyone was commenting on how I always said amazing. Don't know what it is. It's just, it is what it is, okay? Anyways, Real Men Knit is just about knitting, this romance. It is sad because one of the characters, their grandmother has died, which is super heartbreaking, but she left this knitting shop behind, and it's kind of like a second chance romance because these two characters used to know each other and now they are coming back together again. It is so beautiful, so cozy. Love it. Next is The Last Chance Library and The Lost Ticket, both by Freya Sampson. I have talked about these books quite a bit, so I won't go too into depth for them, but they are, I feel like, the ultimate cozy reads. I've probably said that about so many of the books on this list, but they really are. They are so cute. They both deal with elderly characters and like a young main character, and that dynamic is just adorably heartwarming. So in The Lost Ticket, it is about a man who, like, he's trying to find this woman that he met on a bus years ago, and she completely changed his life. So he's trying to find her again, and the young main character is trying to help him with that. It's adorable, love it so much. And then The Last Chance Library is about a library that is going to be shut down, and all of the patrons end up coming together to try and save it. It is so cute. I just love both of these books, and I actually need to look to see if Freya Sampson is coming out with another book because I need more. Next is The Gunkle by Stephen Rowley. This is about a gunkle, or a gay uncle, and he ends up looking after the kids of, I think it was his sister-in-law. I can't remember if it's like actually his sister, because I've watched a couple of movies like this too, so then I always get them mixed up. But either way, it is his like niece and nephew, and it is just so freaking cute. I love this book. It was one of my favorites of the year. Totally cozy and cute. I feel like it has less of the cozy vibe because it is set in LA, and something about LA doesn't really feel cozy to me, but it still does manage to have that kind of cozy vibe. Next is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. So a very irregular society of, what is it? I can never remember. I just said it. I may have said it wrong though. A very secret society of irregular witches. That was described to me as being like House in the Cerulean Sea, and it very much is. So in House in the Cerulean Sea, you have a man who he goes to this island and then he is taking care of these children, and these children all have like special abilities. They are outcasts, they are orphans, and one of them is actually the Antichrist. Like, it is not what you would expect at all. It is super, super different, but it is honestly such a beautifully done story. I really loved it. It will give you all those warm and fuzzies. Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi is also an incredible book that is perfect for just like a quick cozy read. I have the other two books in the series as well, but I haven't read them yet. But it is actually translated from the Japanese, and it is a series where there's this cafe and you can go there and you can travel through time. And it is just snapshots of different characters who travel through time, see different people, and it is just kind of indescribable for me, to be honest. It was such a feel-good read. It flew by for me, honestly. It's really beautiful, and I can't wait to read the other two that I have. Next is Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Another one of my favorites of the year. I know sometimes I repeat a lot of books because it's honestly just because I really, really recommend them. But this is so cozy and so cute because it has an octopus as one of the perspectives and the main characters. Like, what more could you want? It has an elderly main character as well, which something about that just feels cozy to me. I don't know if that's weird, but it honestly does. But she ends up working in an aquarium and looking after this octopus, and like, it is just so amazing. I loved this book. Once again, a really unexpected one, but it touched my heart, honestly. Another really cozy book is The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. This is such a great story. It is starting from youth with this young boy, and it's following him into adulthood as he's trying to figure out who he is. He's learning more about his identity as a biracial gay teen, and it is just so incredible. I loved this book. Like, I came to feel for him so much, and oh my goodness, I can't even describe it. Like, it is a book told in verse, actually, so it's another really quick read, but it will stick with you. And the final recommendation that I'm going to give, I could go on and on, honestly, so if you would like a part two, let me know. But the final recommendation is more of a classic one, and that is Anne of Green Gables. I don't know if this is just cozy to me because it reminds me of my childhood and like watching Anne of Green Gables when I was a kid, which we watched like the Megan Fellows ones. Is it Fellows or Follows? I never remember, but besides the point, we watched those and like Road to Avonlea when I was a kid, and I didn't like it that much. Then we watched an animated series and I did like that one. But then when I rewatched it when I was older, I saw the charm in it. My mom loved all that stuff and I just never got it. Like, I found it too boring then, but now I'm like, it is so sweet and so charming. And Matthew, love, and Gilbert, oh my god, love. Like, I had to read the book for my Canadian literature class and I just completely loved it. I'm so glad that I had to read it because it really is so good. And there is a whole series, although if I'm remembering correctly from my Canadian lit class, she didn't actually want to write the series. It was just kind of a publisher thing. So I haven't read any of them, but like, I will probably, I just haven't gotten to them. But there is more than just the first one. But if you're gonna read any, the first one is great. Okay, so those are all of the cozy books that I wanted to recommend to you guys for the winter time, or really whenever you're looking for those cozy vibes. These are perfect. So I hope that this might help you, and please let me know if you have any cozy book recommendations for me, because I am honestly so far into my cozy era right now that I can't be stopped. I was just reprimanding myself internally for saying era again, but whatever, it is what it is, which I also said earlier, I have phrases, okay? But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again in another one very soon. Bye!